sitting there with an office in the McCombs Business School with entrepreneurial dreamers from all over campus coming to see me every day. And about half were from the business school, half were from outside. A lot of engineering students, a lot of computer science students. And the two things that I came to realize, boy, I need to help straighten these people's heads a little bit here, is one group, at least one pretty significant group, come in and I say, well, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Why do you want out of life? And they say, I want to get rich. And I say, well, wrong office. Maybe go over to law school or med school. I don't know, but maybe go to work for a giant corporation. I said, but I can't guarantee that. And all you can really do is find something you love doing. And if you study all the great entrepreneurs of history, I'm a big student of history, it's very, very hard to find one who was successful who started out because they wanted to get rich. Now they're successful. A lot of them did become rich, but that wasn't. I mean, even study Bill Gates. I saw he and his dad being interviewed on the Larry King Show, and they're both shocked that he became wealthy. Now obviously he was a good enough businessman. Once he saw it cooking, he's like, oh, maybe we got something here, and let's get aggressive and get big. And the other kind of myth, in a sense, people come in and I say, well, what's your idea? Whatever. They say, oh, I got this wonderful technology. It came out of the lab, or I've got this, it's just the most wonderful technology on earth, or I've invented it, and it's just, so it's like, oh, sign an NDA, it's like top secret, and it's the best thing anybody's ever heard of, but I'm never going to tell anybody about it. It's my big secret. And boy, I tell you, from the study of history, the great technology companies are not about technology. They are about people. You study, okay, take Thomas Watson Sr., built IBM. He took over an existing company, renamed it IBM, and made it really the greatest technology firm in American history at this point in terms of the full perspective, because we don't really know how Google and all these things are going to totally turn out yet. IBM is pretty clear, and actually, it goes through its whole life cycle, and then almost died in the 90s, and it got brought back to pretty extraordinary. But you look at Watson, so I think it was like the fall of 1953, and they had not really invented the mainframe computer. It gets pretty complex, a lot of people involved, the Pentagon and everything, but really UNIVAC, the ENIAC and the UNIVAC were really the first commercial where a computer said, oh, a business might want one of these, because they were really made for scientists and stuff. And the Census Bureau was the original buyer of IBM's original punch card systems. And UNIVAC, I think they had outsold IBM maybe 4-1. Like maybe UNIVAC, there were 20 of them and there were 5 IBMs as far as mainframe computers, the very beginning of that huge industry. And IBM Watson came in, and Watson was not a technologist. Now, he understood the importance of technology. He ran, built one of the greatest research labs in the world. He had worked at National Cash Register, where he had learned the importance of science. Charles Kettering was the inventor at National Cash Register and later GM. He was Kettering holds more patents in American history except for Thomas Edison. So Watson had been exposed to him, but Watson was really a salesman, and he had learned under Patterson, the National Cash Register CEO, who was one of the greatest salespeople in American history. And Watson said, and at that stage, there were all these electronics and high-tech companies getting into computers, and Raytheon, General Electric, RCA, they're all getting into it because, hey, man, there's something here. They all were run by technologists, and they said, we need a faster CPU. It's kind of like car guys that say, I want to build more horsepower. I love speed. Because that's the cool science. Let's push science to the edge. And Watson went instead, and because he was a salesman, talked to all his customers. And they said, no, the bottleneck is not a slow CPU. The bottleneck is if printers aren't fast enough. We get the information. And so he went to his research labs and said, create a faster printer. And if you remember, I guess they still exist, those big band printers, a green and white paper that go bang, 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 the big old things. Well, they did that, and within 18 months, IBM had 60% of the mainframe market, and they held it for the next 20 years. And even when Watson, as they went down the pike and look in the future, their kind of visionary department, or whatever you want to call it, it was called the Department of Future Demands. And their task they were charged with is to figure out what our customers are going to ask us for next. Not what we can invent next, what our customers are going to ask us for next. And I think if you really study it deeply, you see it over and over, because I can make a real strong case that Steve Jobs is one of the very few people in the computer hardware and software industry, the PC industry, whatever you want to call it, one of the very few people who really understands what people like and what people need. And it's when technology is used in service of those people that it becomes powerful.